Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Rise with Reis. And if you have not met Reis yet, you might want to check out her information in the links above or below. She's actually in Australia right now. She had moved from UK and she's visiting Brisbane. So her connection is just a little bit off but we're going to set the intention that everything just goes smooth. And just to give you a little bit of information about her, she has been with her twin flame for the last 11 years, and her and I have teamed up to share with you guys how to really embrace this inner work. And tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about being able to unleash and unlock that inner power so that you can finally get beyond this idea of like, I keep doing the inner work. Why is it not working? So that is our goal with this show, basically. And it's also to empower you. And we want it to be definitely interactive. So we've asked people for questions. We have some questions that have already come up. We're going to be addressing some questions in the last probably 10 minutes or so. But we're going to start right now with another warm welcome with Reis. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining and sharing your shine with us.
Hi. Hello, everybody. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be here for everybody, showing up for you today. It's an absolute honor to be working with you, Dr. Harmony, as well. I'm so excited about all the content that we've got for you, all the tools that we've got available for you. So yeah, absolute pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So, Reis, speaking of the tools and the things and the content we put together, do you mind to share a little bit about our Inner Work Challenge that starts on Saturday the 17th? It's going to be a 5-day challenge. It's going to be live. If you're watching now or in the future, make sure to check out the link above or below. You can get signed up and do a Zoom call with us. It's going to be 5 straight days where we spend an hour breaking down the inner work that you need to do to be able to move past where you are and be able to connect to the highest version of yourself, so that you can find harmony and everlasting union with a twin flame. Okay, yeah. So you want to share with us more about that?
Absolutely. So I'm really, really excited for us to put together this 5-day challenge. This is going to be loaded with so many tools. Every single day, we're going to be working through a different situation, a different experience, something that we can grow from together. So we're going to be showing up doing this work with you, so you're not on your own. And this isn't anything that we haven't done before. And this stuff works. It's all about getting clear, getting focused, understanding our worth, using those tools. We've got loads of techniques, loads of strategies that we're going to be putting in place every single day, understanding forgiveness, understanding total clarity, and really aligning our vibration with the highest possible place that we can work from, so we then can attract our highest match and our true twin flame in. We're going to be covering areas of separation. What do we do when we go into separation? And we're really going to be flowing through this, and you'll see how they all connect. So it is a deep inner work challenge, but it's going to be so good for you. It's so nourishing, so cleansing, so purifying. And this is what we're here today. This is what we're here showing up for. These are the tools that we need.
Absolutely. And for anybody that's just tuning in, this is a weekly live show. So make sure to hit the notification bell so you'll know when we come live on Sundays. And you can also click when we schedule these and get notified when they come live so that you know that we've came live. But today I want to talk a little bit about, some of this deeper inner work that we started last week, and which, by the way, if you missed last week in our kickoff, you can check out the links above and below in order to get plugged into our playlist that we'll be creating on this. But Reis, can you share with us a deeper understanding from your perspective and being married to your twin flame for 11 years, what a true connection is of a twin flame? Okay. And let's talk about it from the angle of, what are some of the mistakes people are making out there when they are navigating this connection? And what would you say some of the biggest mistakes in them navigating this connection itself?
Absolutely. Now, this is a huge thing, because it's the inner work. It's the inner work that we have to do. Now, before I met Jonathan, as Dr. Harmony said, we've been married for 11 years now, and we've done a lot of work internally within that connection. But actually getting to that connection and doing the inner work before I even met Jonathan was the key aspect of me finding my twin flame. So my vibration had to be completely aligned with my twin flame's vibration in order for us to match and have our harmonic match. So in order to do that, I had to go on a journey of understanding my personal growth and my personal development. Now, I could not have done this without finding my mentors, finding my instructions, finding my manual in order to help me complete this internally. Now, the work never gets done. There's always so many different layers. And in order to go deeper into this, I mean, we're not going to be able to cover all of that just in this session right now. I really advise coming in and doing some work with us on this, because it's just incredible.
Yeah, and get plugged into our Facebook group. That link's above and below too, because Reis is in there almost every day answering questions, providing content for you every day in our Facebook group. So check that out.
And you'll meet my twin flame as well. And he's really, really on board with all of this, because we are really standing in our own personal power now and doing the work that comes with being in a twin flame relationship. But in order to get to that point, before I met Jonathan, those tools, that inner healing had to reach a certain point where I was ready to meet him. And it's the same for Jonathan. Now, the work had to be done. So a huge aspect of that was finding my self-worth, understanding my worth, really finding my value. Now, we externally look at everything giving us validation for that value, for our worth. And it doesn't come from external resources. It actually comes from within. So I had to really go within and look and be really clear about what my values were. Every single day, I was undervaluing myself. At one point in my life, it was a normal way of life for me. My thoughts, my actions, everything were tainted with disempowerment. Now, until I started recognizing my worth through teachers, through experiences, I'm actually a Reiki master teacher. So I went through the study of Reiki in order to empower my journey to become a teacher. These were all tools that helped me find me, getting clear about my values, my worth, letting go, releasing all the past pain, the trauma. I'd experienced different traumatic relationships up to Jonathan. And I understood that actually everything had a lesson. Everything had its own personal journey of growth within those relationships. So I really started studying and understanding on a deeper level how I could learn and I could grow and I could empower, rather than just become the victim of that experience. And this was a massive catalyst for me. It was a huge awakening for me when I really started peeling back those layers. And they're painful to look at. I get this. They're sore, they're raw, they can be so painful. But we're here with you, and we are surrounding you with total unconditional love and healing and guiding you and helping you along this process, which we've both done. And we're all in this together. And this is why I'm here showing up for you with Dr. Harmony today with these tools to assist you on your journey.
So there was two things that come through. One of the number one things that I wanted to ask you was, because people see this a lot, and I hear this a lot with clients and people that show up, having these other type of connections that are considered karmic, and you went through a lot of those. And what I was going to ask you, could you share a little bit about maybe some of those mirror reflections you had that prepared you for the one, versus like, were they twin flame type connections, or were they strictly, how did you know when it was Jonathan was the one? What's the difference in those connections?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. So actually, when I look back at my previous relationships, look at the trauma, it is so clear what each lesson was serving and what they came into my life. So there were past karmic ties with these relationships where I had to do the inner work and I had to clear. Now, I had relationships that were fueled with abuse, addiction, anger, control. They were so soul repressing, and I felt restricted. Now, understanding when I met Jonathan and the feelings that I got of meeting a twin flame, the previous relationships, they could come in like, wipe the floor with me. They could be quick, they can be explosive, emotions coming up, lots of pain to come up, lots of nothing was easy within it. It was full of anger, full of turmoil, full of the inner work I hadn't done, but the inner work came from completing that with them. So when I empowered myself and moved away from these relationships and really understood my worth and what I wanted, they helped me gain clarity on what I didn't want.
How did you know? I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is so important. How did you know when to lean into them and then lean away and leave? How did you know when to go in and how to come, time that it was toxic and it's time to move on for empowerment? Because you have to sometimes lean in, see the lesson, work through it, or you're going to get another teacher. But then there is the time it flips to the other side. That's like part of the lesson is now I got to step out of this.
Yeah. And a lot of it is repetition. So to me, leaning into the relationships and really giving it with my all, because when you sign up for a relationship, it's not something that you do lightly. It's something that you invest in, you emotionally invest in, you open your heart. Now, to me, being hurt on a daily basis, being abused, is recognizing that pain, recognizing actually, is there any resolution moving forward? And it's that repetitive pain that you're experiencing that wore thin over time. Now, to me, this is what I experienced within all my relationships. So, we can all talk about our first love, the first one that we truly remember, the one that really opened us up, the one that brought all of these feelings of insecurities out of us. Now, we've all been there. We all know this. And some of you may still already be there. These feelings of vulnerability, insecurities, and it started creating a toxic person within me. So this toxic person was being shown to me. And again, it's that mirror challenge. So it's that mirror understanding what they were showing me. So to me, I grew insanely insecure, insanely jealous. I was so vulnerable and I didn't get any better. I was getting worse. Situations weren't getting better. I tried different areas of buying books, of looking into relationship guidance. And a key point is communication. So if you can't communicate within that relationship and it is a complete toxic environment, you've got to really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, is this really right for you? Currently, is this really what you want for you? Now, making that break for me was huge. So that was huge in me recognizing my worth and what I wanted, because there's only so many paths you can go down. So you can get all the teaching mentors, guidance on board. But if it's a continual toxic cycle, then you've got to really recognize, actually, is this a positive relationship for me? Is this, and be really honest with yourself. And I believe a lot of us aren't really that honest. They go, well, it's the other person, let's blame them, let's blame everything else, and actually not really take responsibility for how happy you truly are. And this was a huge awakening for me in all of my previous toxic relationships, was actually asking myself the question, am I happy? I had a little boy involved. Is this positive? Is this a positive relationship for me? And making that break, and the pain that I've had to go through in order to make that break. I'm not joking. It's not easy. This is not an easy process to go through. But when you really start recognizing your worth and you really start seeing how you want to be spoken to, how you a relationship that's full of violence, full of physical. But
sorry, I think you're back, dear. I think you're a little bit froze, but I think I can hear you now. There you are.
Yeah.
Okay, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Yes.
So to me, recognizing, I could almost write my life, my relationships as a book. This is the lessons that I got from, this is the growth that I got from, this is the self-worth, the self-love that I then got from making that break, moving on. Now, when I met John,
are you saying it's kind of like choosing yourself first over like what you need versus like, because this is where I find that people give their power away when we're talking about this twin flame connection. And just so if anybody knows it's just joining us, make sure to check out the links above and below for the Inner Work Challenge that starts this Saturday, that we're going to be doing live in a Zoom call that's going to be breaking down for you the tools and tips and techniques that Reis has used herself, as well as some things that I've done that we're putting together to share with you to do some inner work so that you can become more empowered, elevate yourself. And that's what this whole Rise with Reis show is all about, to elevate your true self into the highest version of you. And that's why Reis is here to share her light with us and her experience with us, having been married to her twin flame for 11 years and having done the work that it takes to even call him in. And that's what we're talking about if you're just joining us. Which, by the way, if you're just joining us, make sure to let us know where you're tuning in from, either during this show or after. And we are going to have a little segment for questions at the end. We have a couple that's come through. And so if you have questions, make sure to leave us a comment. We will make sure to get to those at the end. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to share that, because one of my questions now for you in that is, we kind of open this up, and doing the inner work is taking a look at it from how we can lean in or lean out of the connection itself. And the other thing I wanted to say about that while ago when we were talking about that is the belief system around the idea of kind of being stuck in this journey, thinking, okay, well, this person is my twin flame now, so I have no choice but to deal with this one person. And based on your experience of that and having multiple teachers and mirrors to get ready before, and then knowing that Jonathan is the one and the true twin flame, what is your advice on that? What did you go through? What do you feel would be people's, again, kind of back to the mistakes, what do you think is the biggest misconception about this journey and this connection that people are stuck on?
The biggest, so I would say the biggest misconception is that we are trying to make something perfect. We're trying to hold on to something with this belief that if we're in control, we have to fix this. We have to take ownership of this, and we do with a certain aspect of it. However, when I reflect back on the journey myself and Jonathan have gone through in our relationship, because Jonathan is my twin flame, we are each other's highest match. But it doesn't mean that actually I've got to do his work for him, that I'm going to stay put and sit in a toxic experience. Things have to take hold, things have to shift. And as I said earlier, we're always looking for that external validation. We're always looking at everybody else fixing. We're always going, this is what has to happen. And we're not doing that internal work. We're not doing this work on ourselves. Now, to me, this is something that I take from Dr. Harmony's book. It was, you've got to do this work on yourself. In order to create this shift, in order to create this growth, you have to do this work on yourself. Self-care, self-love, self-development. This is really, really key. And this can get us unstuck from the situation we're in. We can't tell somebody else to do it. We can't make somebody else do it. We can't expect somebody else to come in and do it for us. These are all things that we have to really take control of, really be in our own personal power with.
Yeah. And I think that based on kind of what you're saying is that a lot of times people look at it and they know to do the work. They think they're doing the work, but they're doing the work on one dimension or one level from a place of awareness or the mind or the just actions. Because you can go through the actions, but just because you go through the actions doesn't mean you embodied it, doesn't mean you integrated with the work, doesn't mean that you fully became. So there's a difference in the way I would say this. There's a difference in becoming and being something. So you're becoming, say, your best self. You're becoming into self-love. You're becoming the highest version of you. There's a huge difference in that becoming and then actually being that version of you from that higher state. And that's where we're needing to, I think, at the next level and where people get stuck is being able to actualize, materialize these concepts. And that's through the integration of embodying it, but then being it. And that's a piece that we have put together to help show how to implement these strategies in such a way that they are action oriented, that is in your life. So if you're just tuning in and you haven't heard, we're doing the perfect inner work challenge that starts this Saturday. It'll be daily for 5 days, a 5-day challenge. It's a live Zoom call. You can check out the link above and below. Make sure to get signed up. Even if you can't make it, you'll get signed up for the replay. And that's going to be phenomenal. So now I have another question for you based on this connection that we're talking about, say with you and Jonathan, and like doing the inner work. Okay, so we all know, and everybody says like, okay, you got to do the work to be with your twin flame, right? And like we all could say, well, you got to do, and the more work you do before, the less work you have to do with them, and the more your chances of being with them are, right? So what I want to hear from you, because I know this from my own experience too, about what I'm going to say is the real work begins when you come together.
Yeah.
So if you can't dance that dance by yourself on some of these tools and resources and navigate it from an inner state of being in balance, then you sure can't do it with the other person, because it's too intense, it's too deep, it's too painful, the wounds are still there. And I feel like that the more you can heal those wounds and lean in and literally like eradicate the trigger, whatever that trigger is, then you can no longer be triggered once the trigger's gone, meaning you have to heal the wounds. So could you give us, before we go into questions, the biggest, best tip you could give us on how to heal, let's just say the abandonment one, because that's a big one, right? So let's talk about, the abandonment aspect. Let's leave the audience tonight with some real action step that they could use to help heal the abandonment, so that they can take some action to materialize the ability to receive love, so to speak. And I know that was kind of a lot there, but I think you understand the question.
Absolutely. So before you, as Dr. Harmony said, going into a twin flame relationship, you have to be fully equipped. Now, to me, twin flame relationships they are not like, they are the most powerful, intense, incredible relationship I've ever had, that has created the most growth within me. Now, I've had huge abandonment issues myself, as I would say a lot of people that I've worked with have. And actually cultivating and going within, doing the work, understanding, being empowered, and so we don't create that separation. Having this going in and having that internal separation can be huge. You can have that in a relationship, you can have that anywhere, and that separation is something that keeps us from growing, moving forward, and keeps us stuck, because we have this belief that we're on our own, that actually we have been left, that we aren't worthy of having support. A huge aspect is of the abandonment within myself and my journey was actually being heard, having being listened to, being heard. But when I really went within and I did some inner work, and that was through Dr. Harmony's help, was actually understanding how I could listen to myself. So being heard and having the support system wasn't actually all about looking at, as I said, about external forces. It was really understanding how I could listen to myself. And it was all about what everybody else was doing. It was all about how everything else, again, the external forces could fix this. And it wasn't. Being heard and listening to myself was one of the most empowering things that I could do for that abandonment issue within me. Connecting with me and feeling that strength and that security that I was my best friend. I am me. I am
just lost you.
I have my personal rating and it's a mindset of, yeah, my back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're back. Just so everybody knows, Reis is traveling this week, so she's in a hotel or Airbnb that the Wi-Fi is a little bit off today. But I think I can hear you now, dear.
So I don't know how much of that you got.
Yeah, and can I elaborate on that for like real quick? And is it okay if I share something about your journey with what you just said? Yeah, because we had done that session where I called it a sacred rage session, and I told you that you had some anger still hidden in you from all of your past that you had not fully released or felt yet. And you're like, well, I don't feel it, remember? And then we took you into a place to connect to those emotions, and you able to release that energy and able to express that energy and feel like a sacred container, feel heard. That was a huge pivotal point in your shift of any remaining stored energy in your being, it made some huge pivotal points for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't realize I'd actually approached for my twin flames trauma. I approached Dr. Harmony. We need to understand the trauma, and this was mirroring my own personal trauma, the trauma of abandonment. In order for us to have to emigrate to another country, I had to really be clear of my abandonment issues and feel grounded and secure, and actually reaching deep down and experiencing that personal pain was one of the most powerful sessions I've ever experienced, and that was with Dr. Harmony. And I was screaming, I was a mess, I had snot all over me. It was not a good look, but you know, the release that I got from reaching deep down and touching on my own personal pain of the feelings of being abandonment, the feelings of I've come from being in care homes, of feeling that utter abandonment as a child, of not knowing where people are going to come from, and actually having to reach down and experience that pain to bring it up. It was so incredibly powerful. I didn't even realize I had that much emotion stored within me, but actually releasing that was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. And I will say this too, because there was a big thing that is our resistance comes up in those things, and we can create scenarios that make us want to control the environment of how we manage those emotions and how we allow ourselves to release those emotions. Because even in that moment, you were like, I can't release this now. It's not a good time. My little one's sleeping, ... right? And I was like, sis, this is your moment. Are you going to control it, or are you going to let it go? Right?
Oh, and I let that go. Oh, the pain, the screaming, the pain, but whew, so powerful.
Life-changing. And so just so everyone knows, Reis has went through my Lightworker Academy and graduated through the program that I've taught for 8 years to help people make these shifts and transitions. And she's now helping others do the same and helping twin flames through these separation wounds and healing trauma and connecting to more of the inner self to, decrease and eliminate, I should say, that separation from within that is causing the separation in a twin flame experience. So you can check out her information above and below, where you can see the services she's offering. And again, if you're just joining us, make sure to check out our Inner Work Challenge that starts on Saturday the 17th and will be daily for the next 5 days, from the 17th to the 21st. And it will be at 8 p.m., same as here, 8 p.m. starting on the 17th, and it will run through the 21st daily, and we'll be really diving into some things. So now, unless you have any final words of wisdom, Reis, I would like to go through, we have a couple of people in here that would like to talk about their questions and answer some questions, because I want to make sure we acknowledge this and get everybody kind of heard. That's a piece of us coming here to make sure that everyone feels heard. And also, if you have not got plugged into our Facebook group where Reis is, she's doing daily, most every day, videos and content and connection. So you can collaborate with her inside of our Facebook group, and you can find that link above or below as well. So any final thoughts before we answer some questions, Reis?
Just that I'm really super excited. I really hope everybody can come.
You cut out the first
challenge, as we're doing last week. Am I freezing again?
You're okay. You're froze, but I can hear you now.
But yeah, just on board. Get on board. The Facebook group. Come and show us. Come hi. Come involve. Really safe environment that you can be in, that you can be heard, and we're there to answer all your questions.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a question here we're going to talk about from LMB. It says, I want to know why it's almost always the same for everyone. If the masculine runs because he's with a karmic partner, while the feminine does all the inner work and chases. So the first thing that's so important, I feel like, to talk about here, whether it be a man or a woman, when we're talking masculine or feminine energy that's not gender related. However, it tends to look like it's gender related from a standpoint of typically the masculine are not always in their power, and they have been emotionally emasculated by their mothers. So their feminine sides are wounded. And therefore, because their feminine sides are wounded, we have the same thing, but our masculine side is wounded from a feminine usually. It's because we're hyper masculine and they're more hyper feminine usually. So from the hyper feminine means that typically they run from their emotions. So the number one thing I won't even use that really as a gender, but people run from their emotions. And when they run from the emotions, when it comes to being with a karmic partner, typically a karmic partner is of a energetic vibration that connects and reaches the karma, that those things have to be cleared from old soul contracts and learning the lessons that they have to see, to feel, to heal from a place of the lesser self, the lower self, the old, the things that they don't want to see. They can't see those things from, say, the higher version, which is the person usually that's mirroring to them. So basically, let's just say, I'm going to use an example. You're with someone and they're running from you and they are the masculine, you are the feminine. And when you mirror to them all the things that they don't want to feel, they don't want to see, they tend to go somewhere else. And going somewhere else is them being the higher version, technically. So at that point, that's where the only place they can see their own wounds is through someone mirroring their wounds, that they get to see it from the higher state. If you are the higher state partner, they can only see their shadows. They cannot see their light unless they're with somebody with the shadows. So that is like why that's the most common in that regards, but it's most common with the masculine energy because the masculine doesn't want to feel the emotions. And then us as feminine, we tend to, like I was saying a while ago, be hyper dominant in our masculine energy and that controlling energy, and not letting go and surrendering energy, and not being in our feminine self because we don't feel heard, loved, supported, secure. So we are protecting our own feminine by putting up walls of protection. And so therefore, usually that puts the feminine at a higher state of consciousness, and we see the work that needs to be done from a different level. But the key to knowing this is that doesn't mean they're not doing the work. They're doing the work they need to do for themselves. That is the work, just from another polarity, another angle. And that's where I think the misconception is that people think that just because they're running, that they might be running from one side of themselves, but they may not be running from themselves. They may be actually doing something that they need for their own lesson, their own goal, their own contracts, their own ability. And so I think the important thing is that to let that person do their own work and then focus on your own work. And then therefore that will break the cycle of whatever's repeating the ping pong between the two people that's creating the yo-yo effect of the high and the low. So would you like to share just briefly, Reis, any comments on how that has worked for you and your experiences, your relationships, and even with your twin flame, Jonathan?
Yeah, and I've got to say, I've got to come in here and say that there is work and growth happening within this process, but also recognizing that exactly what Dr. Harmony was saying about going right into it, and the defense with the masculine and the over emotion with the feminine. It's also only can they bring it back to us instead of actually going and.
Okay, could you back up just 1 second? Because you cut out for a second here.
To this situation, or we can. Am I still
here? I think you're back. You're back now, I think.
Yeah. So again, we can go. We can give our power away a lot, and this is something that I've done. We're kind of trying to fix. We're trying to surround. There's so much emotion going on. But again, it's bringing it back into us and recognizing the lessons that we're gaining from this, being heard, what I talked about earlier about listening to ourselves, and recognizing, doing that healing. Be kind to yourself, really, really nurture yourself and be kind to yourself in this instant. Karmic relationships are so powerful, and they can be so painful, so destructive, so toxic. And it's really recognizing how we can listen to ourselves, how we can. Sorry, I think I'm gone again.
No, you're here. You're a little bit further, but I can hear you fine.
Yeah. and really understanding the lessons of what we're gaining from this. So if you're doing all the work and you feel that you're chasing your surrounding, all the emotion, how can we step back and really stop looking at doing the work for somebody else and start doing the work for us?
That's a good point. You're
Yeah.
totally right, because a lot of times it's really projecting the work that you think you're doing onto someone else and doing their work for them, and doing that, right? Which is exhausting.
It's exhausting. I've spent a lot of time repeating this, trying to do that work for somebody else, trying to get them to listen, trying to get them to take action. It doesn't work like this. The only way we're going to experience growth is by taking that internal action for ourselves.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we have Heidi. Heidi, welcome back, dear. So she says, greetings again, wondering, does Reis also truly relate to the 22 main characters from my Dr. Harmony's book? And the light rays, and is a sensitive empath. So, you've read my book, Reis. So, how we're talking about the color rays. And and how in the color rays we each come from a different light ray each time, and in this life we incarnate from a different ray each time, and then in this life we're collecting all of our color rays to create the diamond light, become one and whole. And so I'll let you answer that, but do you feel that, like, how your name and your, is it connecting you to these color rays, which I would think it is?
Absolutely, yeah. So it is through the ascended masters, through all the light coming down here that is projecting the information, the knowledge, which is also what myself and my twin flame are working through. So this is really huge, because when I went into this and recognized my name and where this came from, this is absolutely to do with the rays of light that is coming through, projecting the knowledge, the information that is working through our heart centers. So myself and my twin flame, we're aligned, working through one of those rays that is helping us bring healing and love to this planet through hope. And this is really powerful, because that's part of I would say, the opening part of the book, where you look at that and it goes into the different aspects. And, you look at your different ray of what you come under. And actually you're asking the questions, well, where do I fit? Where do I come? The information comes through your heart, and it through your heart. And it's so super powerful when you really go into it and you start looking and feeling, actually, what is it we bring here? What is it we're doing here? What is it that we're offering? And through our healing, through our heart energy, and through myself and my twin flame, it is hope. And going to your question, am I a sensitive empath? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm a sensitive empath. Every day I am having to set my grids up, set my tools up every day, just to go and function out in the world. This, to my little boy, he's also a very highly sensitive empath, as is my twin flame. And this is a daily rituals we do, daily strategies, daily techniques, in order for me to function around. But it's so empowering. I hear a lot that empaths, it's so disempowering. It's such a curse being an empath. Well, hey, it's your greatest gift. It's your greatest tool. It's so powerful. You tap into your healing in this powerful way, and you recognizing I call it my superpower. And I say this to my son, it's your superpower. It gives you the ability, but to feel, understand, and receive information through, which is true. Now, a part of that, I wasn't getting true clarity, was because my self-worth was low. My energy was wide open. The healing hadn't come in. So in order for my empathy, for my true information receptor to come through, I had to do that inner work. Really, really key.
Yeah. So when you heal those wounds and you stop being triggered, that sensitivity is still there for the downloads, but the wounds are no longer triggered, because technically being an empath is absorbing the wounds and the trauma of other people and transmuting it. So when you are healed within, you no longer absorb that information in such a way that you're healing for the other person, which is what a lot of this twin flame journey is happening, to healing for the other person. And that's why I hear a lot with people in their twin flame, is like, I feel him, I like connect with him in a way that it's because he's wounded. You're transmuting that, but it's through your own wounds that you're doing that. And so when you heal that, you actually transmute it and you connect that way in love, if the wounds are healed. And that's when it becomes the power of love, when you can do it from a place that is no longer wounded. So with that being said, we want to thank all of you for joining us, either, here on this live or, in the future lives, or coming in and watching this replay. Once again, I want you to make sure to get plugged into our free challenge. We have the Perfect Inner Work Challenge that can help you navigate this journey. It's going to be live starting on Saturday here in the States, that 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 17th, and it will go through the 21st. And in Sydney, it's going to be 10 a.m. on Monday morning. And even if you can't make it, you can get signed up and catch the replays. But we would love to see you in the group with us. And also, if you have not got plugged into our Facebook group, Reis is in there most every day, helping answer questions and providing content that can help you navigate this journey in a more healing way. And you can also check out her information and how to get plugged into her services and learn more about what she does and how she can help you. And also in the links above and below, but you can also, if you get into that Facebook group, you can meet Jonathan, her twin flame. He comes on with her periodically in order to help show up and share and serve, because he's also very much a part of this journey to not only support Reis, but to also show up in his own purpose and his own mission. And that's what they've moved from UK to Australia to get connected to their own divine purpose. And now they're ready to come out and share their journey with others and help others create the reunion that they've created, that has now harmonized after 11 years, but probably more than 11, but 11 years that you've been together. So, are married, I should say. So, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We will catch you next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 10 a.m. Sydney time. Reis is traveling this week from where are you normally at? You're in Brisbane now.
So we live in Sydney, but we've driven 9 hours through the Gold Coast to stay here, and we're coming back down again. So
okay.
Yes, so apologies for the bad reception. I'll be back in Sydney next week.
Okay, so we will see you then, Reis, and everyone have a great and phenomenal rest of your day, night, or evening, wherever you are. We'll see you next week, and hope to see you, because we will actually be starting the this before we have our live for the challenge. So see you then.